Thank you. A genie grants this teacher a wish. The teacher says, I love going to Europe, but I don't like to fly and I hate boats. Could you build a highway from here to Europe? The genie says, are you nuts? Do you have any idea how impossible it would be to sink pilings down in the Atlantic Ocean? Or how much concrete and asphalt it would take to build a 2,000-mile highway? Or how much trouble it would be to do an environmental safety survey? The teacher says, okay, fine. Then I'd like to know how we make sure that our public schools are our country's top priority, that our students receive the resources they need, and that so-called education reformers start caring less about corporate profits, hidden agendas, and union busting, and more about poverty and collaboration. That my evaluation is valid and my curriculum is ready, and that my elected officials take the lead from educators on policy that impacts our schools. Can you do that for me? The genie tugs on his beard, and he takes a moment to think. Then he says, were you thinking of one lane or two? Colleagues, we have tasks before us that no single person, heck, no genie, could accomplish on their own. We have to take back our schools and education policy from politicians and reformers who would rather tear down public education than build up equitable opportunities for our students. We have to fight for evaluations that are fair and depend on real measures that work, not on unreliable and unaligned test scores. We have to make sure that friends of education sit in elected offices. We have to develop the next generation of activists and leaders in our association. These are no easy tasks, so it's good that there are 70,000 of us working on them in Maryland. But the 6,000 of you here are the vanguard, the 600 of you here. Strong schools and a strong MSEA have been possible because of your activism. It is your willingness to lead as a union rep in a building, making sure your colleagues are empowered and that they know they belong to an association that is committed to helping them do the best and be the best. It is your willingness to come to school board meetings, county council hearings, and coalition meetings. It is your willingness to provide a voice for public education. It is your willingness to come to Annapolis and lobby your legislators, directly sharing your passion and your experience. It is your willingness to fight for change and to organize others to fight as well. I recognize that those of you who are in leadership positions, whether as board members, building reps, local officers, local presidents, and committee members, you put in precious time to be active in our efforts to keep our schools strong and our associations strong. Strong schools and a strong MSEA also result from your advocacy. Whether you're on a bargaining team, ensuring that fair and equitable language is maintained in your contract, or in a meeting standing up for the rights of a colleague, your advocacy adds strength to our association and our profession. You not only advocate for good working conditions, fair salaries, and quality professional development, you advocate for your students, who are the reason we're here in the first place. You don't turn away from a shy child who needs extra help, or an aggressive student who needs to know how to balance the valuable skill of assertion with more focused and orderly behavior. You're there every day, fighting for Maryland's public school students to get quality instruction and excellent care. Your advocacy shows your belief, our belief, that every child can achieve. We're here today as an RA, as our vanguard, to make sure that we continue to have strong schools and a strong MSEA in the future. To lead the charge and lead the change we want to see in classrooms, in our schools, and in Maryland. We do that by making strategic decisions at this RA that affect the future of MSEA. We have been selected by our fellow members to represent them. We have an obligation and a responsibility to them, let alone to our students, to take care of them and make sure that they're getting the support they need. One of the best ways we can do this is by making sure that whoever sits in the governor's office is a friend of public education and a friend of MSEA. We need our next governor to understand what's going on with our evaluations and fight alongside us for fairness, transparency, and common sense. We need our next governor to understand the challenges that come when we try to balance our professionalism and personal lives with trying to deliver curriculum that's being developed and delivered to us on the fly. We need our next governor to understand that a test score informs our picture of a student and our practice, but it never, never, never should be the final label on a student or be the reason an educator gets fired. Do you believe we need a governor who gets these issues? Do you believe we need a governor who leads on these issues? Do you believe we need a governor who listens to educators on these issues? Do you believe we need a governor who is capable of delivering on these issues? So do I. We're here this weekend to fulfill the most basic function, to create and sustain strong schools and a strong MSEA, to maintain our influence and our relevancy. We achieve that by making an endorsement at this RA. I'm not sure what we'll hear from the candidates during their time with us today. I'm not sure what the Endorsement Council's deliberations will be, though I'm sure they'll be passionate and measured and made with the best interests of the association at heart. I'm not sure who they'll recommend, but I'm sure their choice will be a good and thoughtful one. One thing is for certain. Tomorrow, we will vote on whether to support our Endorsement Council and their recommendation. Let me repeat that. Tomorrow, we will vote on whether to support our Endorsement Council and its recommendation. Tomorrow's choice is about whether we believe that we, as an association, will be stronger by endorsing a candidate for governor in 2014. For me, the answer is clear. I believe that if we endorse a candidate tomorrow, that candidate will win the primary in June and the general election in November. They will win because we will out-organize, out-mobilize, and outwork anyone else. And it would be foolish to underestimate the power of our members to put their time, money, and passion into supporting and electing friends of public education. The time to endorse is right now. This year, the primary has been moved up to June rather than September, which is why we are considering the Endorsement Council's recommendation at the fall rather than the spring RA. Labor groups and other advocacy groups are beginning to make endorsements, but we can still be among the first. If we want to be relevant, if we want to help set policy agenda, if we want to lead rather than follow, if we want to be a player rather than a bystander, we must make an endorsement now. By the time this RA convenes again in the spring, it will be far too late to make a real impact on the governor's race and the issues that we care about. If we fail to endorse, then our issues and the association will be marginalized. By endorsing a candidate now, by aiding them to victory, we make the association stronger. Elected officials are far more likely to be there for us if they know we were there for them when it mattered. And right now is when it matters for these candidates and for this election. Do you want a pro-public education governor whose first call is always to MSEA when issues arise that affect our members and our students? Do you want a governor who comes to MSEA to proactively set education policy, state board appointments, and social justice and civil rights issues that remain interwoven with our history, our future, and our legacy? Do you want a governor who will help us fix the broken policies of the past while setting the best policies for Maryland's future? I'll say it again. We get there by making an endorsement tomorrow. If we do not make an endorsement, we are relegated to the sidelines. You and I know that's not where we belong. That's not where labor belongs. That's not where public education belongs. And that's not where our students belong or our members. NEA's experience in the 2008 presidential campaign is instructive here. During the close primary between then Senator Clinton and then Senator Obama, NEA stayed neutral while the rest of the labor chose sides. The thinking was both candidates were good, making it difficult to achieve consensus. So let's hold off and see who wins the primary before making an endorsement. By the time NEA made its endorsement, Obama had both a clear upper hand and a well-defined policy agenda. And what has that gotten NEA? Far too little access to the president and far too little influence on important decisions, whether the choice of an education secretary or influencing initiatives like Race to the Top. On the flip side, look at SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, which represents healthcare workers. They endorsed Obama early. They endorsed him when he needed help and when his policy agenda was still being developed. So it should come as no surprise that his signature domestic policy achievement has been the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, which was a policy priority for SEIU. As in 2008, we have good candidates to consider. Among the candidates we will hear and choose from are former educators, people whom we've previously endorsed, and people who we consider friends of MSEA in our schools. We have good choices, but we must find consensus and we must make a choice. So I ask you, whomever the endorsement council recommends tomorrow, consider what is best for the association. You are here as part of the highest decision-making body of MSEA. When you vote on the Endorsement Council recommendation, you're not voting on what's best for your local, your job, or your county. You're voting on what's best for MSEA. That's a weighty responsibility. But our success over the next 4 to 8 years begins with and depends on this weekend. It depends on a good debate, a thoughtful process, and long-term thinking. And it begins with your action and your vote. Make no mistake, our 2014 election strategy extends far beyond the governor's mansion to school boards and county councils and General Assembly seats across the state. We'll talk about that more this weekend. But the choice before us as a body is our endorsement in the governor's race. In 1943, Winston Churchill came to Harvard University to receive an honorary doctorate. While there, he spoke before a crowd of 12,000 Bostonians and dignitaries about the kinship between America and Great Britain and the need to be unified and involved. He told his audience that the price of greatness is responsibility, and that responsibility cannot be escaped, but rather should be embraced. We are a great association. Together, we have built great public schools. As the highest decision-making body of MSEA, we are caretakers of those twin accomplishments, which we know are inextricably bound to one another. It is our responsibility to make wise decisions this weekend that will position our association and our schools to future greatness. We are best positioned to do so if we come out of this meeting with an endorsed candidate and a renewed commitment to make sure that that candidate wins in 2014. However, if we fail in our responsibility, we challenge our own greatness as an association and as a public school system. We can't wait around for a genie to do our work for us. We must embrace the ability to be the greatest voice on public education, on labor issues, on human and civil rights. We must continue to aspire towards greatness and accept the responsibility that entails. We must continue to lead the change and lead the charge for our students, our association, and ourselves. We have to be champions for our schools and let everyone hear our roar. Thank you.